What's the biggest secret you're hiding from your partner right now? Story 1. For the past 12 years, I've been keeping this secret book where the kids doodle and write sweet notes to their mom every Mother's Day before she gets up. We should fill it up in about 4 years, and then we'll surprise her with it on Mother's Day. That's 16 years worth of memories, starting from when the little ones were just babies scribbling with crayons. Now, my wife isn't really the emotional type and doesn't cry often, but on this day, we're going to make her shed some tears. Story 2. For ages, she's been saying how much she wants to hit up the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. Even when we started doing Thanksgiving in the Midwest with my fam, she'd get up at 5 a.m. every single year to catch all the setup on TV and watch the whole parade go down. This year, she thinks we're heading back to the family farm for the holidays. But the truth is, I've got flights and a hotel locked down in Midtown Manhattan. I'm usually the one who deals with all the travel stuff, so I'm pretty sure I can sneak her onto the plane before she catches on to the surprise. I'm bursting with excitement, trying to keep this under wraps and not spill the beans. Story 3. She's got this thing where she picks up calls from family right when it messes up our plans, and they can go on for ages. I come from a fam where we barely chat for 3 minutes. One night, she got a call from her folks on the way home, and it dragged on so long that it messed up our dinner plans. I was getting pretty frustrated with how long she was on the phone, but I tried to keep my cool because this weird thought hit me. Chill, this could be the last time she talks to them. No clue why I thought that, just my habit of thinking the worst. Then, he passed away from a huge heart attack. Even 7 years later, I still haven't told about that thought I had that night. Story 4. So, last year when we hit up that resort, they totally didn't have our room ready for the first night. Instead, they hooked us up with this amazing upgraded room for just one night. We were kind of bummed at first since we booked everything like 6 months ahead, and my wife is super into unpacking all our stuff right when we get in, and with kids it's a whole production. But when we finally saw the room, we were blown away by how stunning it was. Like, super high floor, killer views of the water, massive space, you know? We were all about it. The next morning, we moved to our reserved room, which was still awesome, but it felt like you ordered a Mustang and ended up with a Ferrari for a day. Sure, you still love your Mustang, but anyway, we're heading back this year, and she has no clue I snagged that same awesome room for our whole stay. I've been keeping this secret for almost 6 months, and there's still about 6 more to go. Story 5. My wife totally looked up to her grandpa who passed away. After he passed, I learned from one of his buddies that he wasn't totally clean when it came to some shady stuff. He was an awesome grandpa to her and always treated me well. I'm keeping that little secret from her. No need for her to stress about it. Story 6. My wife has a few challenges and sometimes feels a bit less than me since I can do stuff like cooking way more easily. So I kind of pretend I'm super terrible at certain things and say I'd love for her to handle them since she's actually better at it, like cleaning mushrooms or wiping down the windows. This is like a bizarre episode of Who's Better at Household Chores. Not exactly a reality show contender, but I guess it's sweet in a low-key way. Like, you're trying to boost her confidence, but bro, just let her know you're not actually the world's worst chef. I mean, cleaning mushrooms and wiping windows. Give me a break. But hey, if that keeps the peace and makes her feel like a champ, maybe it's worth it. Just don't tell her you're really a master chef waiting to be unleashed. That's bound to turn into a Netflix drama real quick. Story 7. We're not hitched just yet, tying the knot in 13 days. I picked up a necklace for her to rock on the big day, and the pendant has some ashes of her brother, who sadly passed away when she was just 10. This way, she can keep her brother close on her wedding day. Story 8. I'm feeling super down, like really down. Usually he's the one who's feeling low. I'm always there for him, but I'm kind of scared to let him know that I get sad too and could use someone to lean on. I don't want to come off as weak when he needs someone strong who loves him no matter what. Story 9. Yo, I totally messed up. We've got location sharing on Google Maps, and I saw she was chilling at Dairy Queen without giving me a heads up. So I decided to swing by Dairy Queen without her as a little payback. She's still clueless. Story 10. It's kinda wild, but here we go. I know she checks out my comments on Reddit every now and I bet this post will grab her attention if I drop a comment. Hey babe! Edit, she's seen this, and now I gotta explain myself. Edit 2, I might not make it through tonight. Edit 3, I made it. She's stoked that so many peeps can share me. Edit 4, now I gotta stress about whether she's home alone in the house when I get back from work. Story 11. He has no clue that I accidentally caught some of his telehealth therapy session while I was getting ready one day. The office is right next to our bedroom, and he was chatting way louder than usual. Normally, I can't make out anything but some mumbled words. Nothing negative was said about me, but I was shocked to hear just how harsh he is on himself in that moment. Since then, I've been going above and beyond to shout out every little good thing he does. I was already pretty complimentary before, so fingers crossed he doesn't suspect anything. But now I'm super focused on anything he mentioned he doesn't like about himself or feels insecure about. My husband is seriously amazing, and he totally deserves to feel that way about himself too. That's a heavy situation, honestly. It's like you caught a glimpse of the behind the scenes of someone's mental struggles, and that's never easy. On one hand, it's great you didn't hear anything bad about yourself, but on the other, just knowing how he feels about himself can feel like a punch to the gut. The fact that you're trying to support him now shows a lot of empathy. So mad respect for that. Just remember though, sometimes you gotta let people work through their stuff on their own, even when you want to help. Story 12. I'm not sure if this really fits the vibe, but I found it pretty wild with my ex. My ex was someone who was really good at zoning out and putting things in boxes, part of his background in the military and law enforcement. Just a way to cope, I guess. It wasn't like he was hiding stuff from me, but every now and then he'd drop some crazy story that was super intense and tell it like it was no big deal, or even laugh about it like it was some funny memory. Meanwhile, I was just sitting there, totally shocked. Stuff like witnessing a biker get seriously hurt, getting drugged, taken, and robbed while in Turkey Plus. He couldn't remember his childhood at all and thought that was totally normal. Story 13. Toots. We totally don't talk about them. Keep it on the down low around each other, and if it slips out, nah, it didn't happen. But wow, he blasted out the longest, most cartoonish toot while he was snoozing, and it ended with a little whistle? No way. I had to bounce out of the room to chuckle, and I can never spill the beans, or he'd be super embarrassed. Story 14. This morning, I saw a super faint line on the pregnancy test. I'm just chilling here, waiting for him to get home from his long shift so I can share the news face to face. Edit. Big thanks to everyone for the congrats and advice. It's not a secret anymore, but it's still super early, so I'm doing my best not to get too hype. Really appreciate you all for letting me spill the beans. I couldn't keep it to myself while being home alone today. A faint line, huh? That's the ultimate you've got mail moment, but it's a lot more life-altering than a Netflix subscription renewal. Glad to hear you're keeping it chill, not going full-on gender reveal party just yet. Like, maybe hold the fireworks until you're a little more certain. But hey, sharing it online is basically the modern version of telling your best friend in the cafeteria. Fingers crossed for you. This is a big deal. Story 15. Tomorrow's our 20th anniversary. She keeps an eye on our accounts like a pro, so she's totally aware of all the cash flow. I snagged my mom's credit card to book us a cruise, the two of us, and she has no idea. It's going to be awesome. Story 16. When my wife and I were dating, she was pretty strapped for cash and had 2 kids. I had 2 kids too, but my job paid a bit better. Her SUV kept breaking down, so I'd grab it and take it to the mechanic for her. She had a couple of repairs that weren't cheap at all. I kind of fibbed and told her it was just some minor stuff each time, saying it was only the battery or something like that, and I covered the costs myself. Also, some parents of her students would hook her up with gift cards and stuff during the holidays. So I sent her a loaded Visa gift card from an anonymous parent at the school with $400 on it. She was all smiles, talking about how awesome the parents were to her, and how she could pay off her daughter's braces and make their Christmas super special. Story 17. My boyfriend is super into Magic, The Gathering, especially the artwork. He's got like over 30,000 cards. I've been asking him little questions here and there to figure out who his all-time fave artist is over the past year. I even chatted with his buddies about what cards he really digs. I've done a ton of digging on this. His birthday is coming up, and I got him a card from his favorite artist that has a one-of-a-kind drawing, and they included a cute happy birthday note for him. The card just showed up, and it's being kept secret at a friend's place. It's been a pretty tough year for us in a lot of ways, but we're pushing through it. He's not really into celebrating his birthday, but I love to make him feel special. I can't wait to give it to him. Story 18. Every night I'm up, tossing and turning, stressing over everything from bills to our kid's future, to memories of my dad before he left us, even to what shade I should paint the fence. My brain starts racing and I always end up at the same spot. Death. What happens when I kick the bucket? Does it just go dark and that's the end? Will my family be all right when I'm gone? Am I going to live a long life or leave the party early? Honestly, just writing this is super intense. Story 19. So, my wife passed away when we were 29, but she had no clue that I was the sperm donor for one of my best buddy's kids. We didn't get intimate or anything. I literally just donated my stuff. Spooted in a cup. My wife and my friend's husband, who's now her ex, thought it was all anonymous. There might be some medical paperwork saying I'm the donor, but he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Their first 2 kids are totally theirs. They wanted a third, but then he got hit with testicular cancer, lost a nut, and ended up unable to have kids. He bailed on them when the kid was around 2 or 3 and dodged child support for any of their kids. Just sat around employed at his parents' place until the youngest turned 18, so it's not like I took anything from him. Their third kid doesn't really resemble me, but she's the only one who wears glasses, is almost 6 feet tall, while her sisters are about 5'6", and, probably just a coincidence, is pretty good at math. Her mom and I pinky promised that no one would ever find out. But with everyone doing those DNA tests like 23andMe and Ancestry, it's getting tricky. I'm not going to do it, but my sister's on 23andMe. Super awkward if she ever finds out she suddenly has a niece. Story 20. So, I totally know he lies about some silly stuff he doesn't even need to, has some quirky interests, at least that's what I think, and chats with other girls online pretending it's for learning and all that spirituality stuff. But, I saw a video one of them sent him a few months back. Totally didn't need to see that to realize what's up. But he seriously thinks he's so clever, and he's really not. I'm always 10 steps ahead of him. Plus, he pays for OF, which wouldn't be a huge deal if he wasn't already such a mess, LOL. He drives trucks and has even tried to pay for, some company on the road before, and has bought videos from folks on Twitter. It's kinda wild, haha. Right now, he's just watching me from across the room while I type this, LOL. What he doesn't realize is that once I get my finances sorted, I'm totally out of here. Just to clarify, not my husband, just a longtime partner. Sounds like you've got a real winner there. Lying about dumb stuff is like the first step in the relationship red flags handbook, right? And the whole pretending to be spiritual while sliding into DMs? Classic. As if that's somehow gonna make it better. I mean, I guess if he's trying to be educational, he should consider taking a course on basic honesty. Good luck navigating that mess. Just remember, you deserve way better than someone who thinks he's clever while being a walking cringe. Story 21. Life's been kinda tough for me lately, not counting the relationship, and I fell back into smoking after being clean for over 6 months. I plan to kick it to the curb again soon, but I just can't bring myself to tell her I picked it up again. Story 22. Man, my mom was totally not on board with me marrying him. Gotta give her props, though. She never threw shade at him directly. She was always pretty nice and welcoming, or as much as she could be, since she wasn't really the touchy-feely so I let it slide and gave her some credit for at least acting like an adult. But right before the wedding, she straight up told me she thought I'd be single forever. She was dealing with her own health stuff. My dad had passed away. And she kind of figured my job in life would be taking care of her until the end. She really couldn't stand him for taking that away from her. Story 23. I'm totally obsessed with Damascus steel knives, seriously. A couple of years ago for my birthday, my friends got me a set of Japanese Damascus-style knives, but spoiler alert, they're not actually real Damascus steel, just some budget knives with a faux Damascus look. They were super stoked when they gave them to me though. I don't think I could ever bring myself to tell them the truth. It would really bum them out. I still use them, and I'm going to keep on using them. Story 24. My dad dipped out on my mom when I was just a little kid, leaving us with nada. I was super worried about ending up without a roof over my head again. So that place he thought I was renting when we first started dating. I never let him know that I actually owned it free and clear and was just renting it out after I moved in with him. After 14 years and a ton of therapy, I finally felt chill enough to let go of my backup plan, so I sold it 3 months ago and used the cash to pay off the mortgage on our place. Now, he can kick back and retire at just 40. I'm planning to drop the news during date night this weekend. Fingers crossed he's stoked. Story 25. Honestly, almost every time I've had an O, I've just pretended. He's not great in bed and totally shuts down. Try to give him some pointers or even chat about it. I figured out a while back that it's easier to fake it and handle things on my own later. He's super lucky I care about him a lot. Story 26. I'm really having a hard time trusting guys after being hitched to him. The first 5 years were rough. He wasn't abusive, he just kinda checked out. He's a teacher with a super crazy schedule, so by the end of the day he's totally wiped. Plus, he had a few relationships before me, and I was a total newbie when we got married. He brought all that extra baggage into our marriage. He kinda expected women to play mind games and try to pull him in different directions, even if it was just in his head. That's not me at all. I'm all about giving, but he just kept taking because his walls were always up. I wanted to chat about everything. I love seeing how his mind works and all those little things that make him tick. I wanted more intimacy, but he didn't feel that spark anymore, so we were totally out of sync. I had 3 pregnancies, 2 of which made it. They were brutal, and the first one left me with 4 autoimmune issues. I kept working through it all, trying to manage our home and fix stuff on a tight budget. I'm an artist, and he's a real scientist, so we're like different worlds. He'd notice if the car tires were low, but not that I was running on fumes from breastfeeding our youngest and managing our autistic oldest, literally bumping into walls. He'd get all offended asking why I forgot what we talked about earlier, even though just a few days before, he was with me when the doc told us that my messed up thyroid would mess with my memory. I wasn't doing it on purpose to tick him off. It wasn't like what he said didn't matter. My thyroid was wreaking havoc. I was healing from a serious tear from giving birth. And I was up all night breastfeeding. I was doing my best, but I felt like I was being judged based on some past relationships I had no part in. I figured out our oldest might have autism when he was 3. I've always kind of thought I might have it, and both my sister and dad are diagnosed. I knew the signs and kept bringing it up, but he didn't see it until a daycare worker mentioned it. Then suddenly, he was all about getting him checked out. About 2 years ago, I walked out when he flipped out on me for tossing the wrong sweater. He had asked me to keep an eye out for one that had... That sounds like a real rough patch. I can't imagine how frustrating it must be to feel alone in a relationship, especially when the person is just checked out. Like, dude, you can be tired, but that's not an excuse to just ghost your partner emotionally. It's like living with a roommate who forgot to pay rent but is still eating your snacks. It takes 2 to tango, and it sounds like he left you on the dance floor alone. Good luck sorting through all that. Relationships can be a real dumpster fire sometimes. Story 27. I totally knew he was thinking about ditching me for his ex if he got better. I still held his hand until the very end. She didn't even show up. I bet he realizes I figured it out now, but I'm never going to say it out loud. Story 28. My wife totally loves snagging the first scoop of peanut butter from a fresh jar, so I've been trying to grab the smallest peanut butter jars I can find so she can vibe with that experience more often. Story 29. My hubby's got long hair, and whenever we hit the shower, he often forgets to take off his hair tie. He just kind of flings it over the shower doors toward the sink without even looking. One day, he was having a rough time, and he tossed it and somehow landed it perfectly around the faucet handle. I was totally shocked, and that little stroke of luck really lifted his spirits. Now he keeps trying to recreate that moment, convinced he can pull it off again. What I'll never spill is that I actually caught the hair tie and put it on the faucet myself to give him a little win for the day. It was a tiny thing from like 5 years ago that really made him happy when he needed it, and I can't take that away from him now. Story 30. So, I'm really not into the idea of having another baby. We've already got a toddler, and we did think about having one more soon. He knows I'm kind of unsure about it, and we've talked about it a bunch. He totally respects what I decide and gets where I'm coming from. And he's said that a lot. I've been kind of dragging my feet on this for around 6 months, pretending like I'm still undecided. But honestly, I know what I really want. I just can't seem to say it out loud. He's an awesome husband and dad, so I'm not stressing about how he'll react. What I'm really worried about is that he'll say he's cool with it, but then later he might get resentful, and that could create a big issue between us. Story 31. So, I kind of stumbled upon his meds while unpacking from a trip, and I found out he used to have some issues with, performance stuff. But as far as I know, he's good now. I just want him to know that I still love him to bits no matter what, and I'll never think any less of him. Story 32. He hasn't really had a big deal made about his birthday before, just the usual stuff. But this year, he's hitting a big milestone, turning 40. And I've been in his life for that whole ride, so I've been sneaking around getting him gifts and hiding them. I'm giving him a whole birthday month where he gets to open a present every day. 40 presents for 40 years. Plus, we're throwing a party to celebrate with his fam and friends. All right, that's actually kind of sweet. A whole